Next Tuesday, the Territory budget will be brought down, the first for Treasurer Andrew Barr. He's been in the portfolio for just under a year and has already had to drop a pledge to return the budget to surplus in 2013-14. He's also been left reeling after a tough federal budget that he expects will hurt the ACT economy badly. Treasurer Barr joins me now in the studio. Treasurer, thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much, Ross.
So just to clarify that, you had originally promised a return to a small surplus in 2013-14 and a strong surplus in 2014-15. Both those promises have now been scrapped?
Yes, we've determined to return to surplus later. We think it's important to support the ACT economy through these difficult times and to support jobs. And so we've made the decision that we will return to our original budget plan when the global financial crisis hit. We aimed for a 2015-16 return to surplus date, and we'll return to that date now as a result of those factors that are impacting on the ACT economy.
The federal budget wasn't that bad though, was it? Some are suggesting you were using that as an excuse to avoid making some tough decisions.
The federal budget undoubtedly will impact on the Territory economy. You can't take 1,500 jobs out of our economy and contract Commonwealth spending to the extent that they have without impacting on our economic fortunes. And our estimation after the Commonwealth budget is that we will need to act and intervene and support our economy to keep our economy growing and to support jobs.
So how will you do that? Will there be new capital works programs in this year's budget?
We'll certainly be running a very strong capital works program. There's $700 million worth of works in progress, and we'll be adding to that with a new works program in order to see around a $900 million program in the Territory in 12-13. That will support a number of important industries for our economy and, importantly, keep the city growing.
So what are we going to have, a new hospital? Will that be announced in this budget? What sort of projects are we talking about?
There'll be a range of projects across the priority areas in government. So health projects, education, municipal services, emergency services, are looking to provide some strategic investments in areas that we know will improve the efficiency of our economy and will improve people's lives. So things also focused on urban renewal and urban growth. So there's a strong land release program. We need to provide the infrastructure to support that.
The lease variation charge, you've predicted previously that will raise around 22 or 25 million, I think you said. Are you still expecting that to be about the figure?
We've got about $8 million collected already, and there's about $15 million that has been assessed but not yet paid. There are around 90 applications in the system that have been assessed, and the value of that is about another 15 million on top of the 8 that we've already received. Those applications have some time yet, though, before they have to pay. We would anticipate collecting that revenue, though, over the term of the next budget.
And all that money you've committed already, all that money will go back to a form of urban renewal program?
That's correct. We will be hypothecating that revenue into an urban improvement program to support community infrastructure, things like footpaths, new public toilets, enhanced sport and recreation facilities, walking and cycling facilities, new intersection and road improvements, all the things that go to improving municipal services in Canberra.
Can you give a guarantee there'll be no job losses announced?
Yes, we'll certainly be seeking to maintain employment in the ACT public service. There are areas of growth, particularly targeting frontline services, so there'll be more doctors, more nurses, more ambulance officers, more teachers, so people who are working directly with the community. We will, of course, be needing to look at our administrative functions and looking to streamline those. So we will be seeing some staff reductions in those back-of-house areas, but wanting to ensure the ongoing delivery of frontline services in areas of high priority for this community.
So overall, the size of the public service will grow?
Marginally. We've sought to constrain that growth to within what is an affordable realm, but we recognise that with a growing city and growing demands, particularly in the health area, that there is a need for more doctors and nurses.
So how are you going to, you'll announce a plan to attract new doctors, and because that's the issue, isn't it? How do we attract doctors to this region? Certainly
there's been a large amount of work undertaken to attract new GPs, but also work around other areas of the health profession to come and work in our hospitals and in our community health centres, and that work will continue.
Can you give a guarantee there'll be no new taxes or charges?
Yeah, there certainly won't be any new taxes or charges, but what we will see is a change in our tax mix. We've accepted the recommendations of the Queensland taxation review that came off the back of the federal review that Ken Henry undertook, that recommended that states and territories look at their taxation base and move from inefficient taxes that distort the economy, that are unfair, towards more efficient taxes, and we'll be beginning that reform process next week.
Does that include starting to get rid of the stamp duty?
Yes, it does. It means making a transition away from those highly inefficient, expensive and unfair taxes to collect and administer, and a move towards more efficient taxation. It also means
But I think you said that will take the best part of 2 decades to implement.
Certainly, it will be a phased change. You cannot achieve this sort of structural change overnight. You need to gradually introduce it. What we'll be seeking to do is to abolish or significantly reduce those most inefficient taxes and move to a fairer taxation system. And that means being more progressive in the application of our taxes, so lightening the load on low and middle income Canberra households and asking those who have a greater capacity to pay a little more.
And what about, we know that Actu's revenues have dropped dramatically because water use fell. We also know the cost of the dam has blown out. What impact has that had on the budget, and how will you cover that?
Certainly the dividends that we will get from a number of our government business enterprises will be lower, so we will have to wear that on the bottom line in the short term. The expectations longer term are that they will return to more consistent levels of revenue growth. But we will have to wear that in the short term. So that's one of the reasons that we have sought to delay our return to surplus. It's important that we achieve that surplus goal, but at the same time we've got to support this economy through a difficult period. So we can do that given the size of the Commonwealth contraction that we saw in the last budget. We think we can get the ACT economy through. So we would not be able to protect this economy from a federal Liberal government cutting up to 20,000 jobs. There's
sounds
nothing
like
the ACT
you're preparing us for a rather large blowout in the deficit, are you?
There will be a larger deficit in the 12-13 financial year.
What sort of figures are we talking about?
We certainly we see, for a number of reasons, the timing of Commonwealth payments, some being brought into the 11-12 financial year, means that we're getting the money ahead of time. So our deficit in the 11-12 year will be significantly smaller, but revenue that we were expecting in 12-13 is being delivered early, so we can't account for that in the 12-13 fiscal statements. So what you will see is a larger deficit in 12-13 and then quickly returning to a smaller deficit and then effective balance and then a surplus over the out years of the budget.
Andrew Barr, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Rob.